Like, this is called the Pesky Report. Like,
welcome back to the Pest Report, episode 558, presented by Beyond the Monster. I'm Jordan, joined by Jack and Brian. I almost forgot the intro that I've done 100 times. That was brutal. How you guys doing today?
I won.
Yeah.
So I'm happy.
Chilling. Good. Always good to record after a win, especially after a series win. Back to how things were last summer, where it felt like we were always recording after a win. That's always great.
That was nice.
I got my tax return today, so
I got my federal the other day. Let's see if I got my state yet. Let's live check of the bank account. If I cry, you guys will know. I have not gotten my state return yet.
At least you got something. They didn't take something. That's good.
Yeah.
Yes, that is true. I will be reporting with sadness tomorrow as my payment to my credit card statement will have hit tomorrow at some point. I'll be crying at that point. But yeah, so Red Sox just took 2 of 3 from the St. Louis Cardinals in the battle of the Yale CBOs. Red Sox win this battle, but it wasn't without a whole lot of frustration. We'll get right into game 1. I know last episode we took 55 or so minutes to actually talk about some of the games. Let's dive right in. Dustin May revenge game in game 1. It's always nice when your hitting coach is doing post-game media. I'll throw it first to you, Brian. What was your takeaway on Dustin May? You think the Red Sox should examine maybe acquiring him at the deadline or something?
It could be. Let's overpay. Let's give him some prospects that, will go come down to burn us in the ass. And, if we can't get option 1, 2, 3, C, 5, 7, 9, or whatever, he's the last man standing. So fuck it. Why not? Let's roll the dice again. Let's do it again. Roll it back.
Yeah, Mikey Romero for the St. Louis Cardinals next year might be MVP candidate. If
I was thinking Peyton Tolley just coming, why not, right? Pitcher for pitcher.
Yeah, Chaim Bloom is in a weird era of his executive life where he is all about acquiring pitchers, especially ones from the Red Sox. So, hey, maybe that is an avenue worth examining, come July, especially after. But who will be the pitcher this year that the Red Sox acquire for 10 minutes before pivoting to Dustin May? That's the question. It can't be Joe Ryan again. It's got to be somebody different, I feel like.
If it was Joe Ryan now, that'd be insane. Can you imagine now they finally get Joe Ryan and it's like, well, we were never going to trade Joe Ryan anyway. It's like, okay, so you're both full of shit.
Yeah. Yeah. The Twins, especially this year, they've been weirdly good. And we will get into that because the Red Sox play the Twins next. But Jack, how maddening was the Dustin May experience for you on Friday night?
Very. Especially because it was like such a nice day. I was like just kind of walking around Newbury Street after work and then went back to watch the game. And, I tune in and to see Dustin May shove when he came into the game with an ERA of 15 or something like that. It was like, are we seriously doing this right now? And I think, the velo has been back up with May this year. And that was what we were hearing out of camp when there was kind of some maybe Dustin May is going to be good this year because the velocity was back up. He was back up 2 ticks closer to how he was, as an exciting prospect with the Dodgers. And I think approach-wise, what I did kind of just notice, at least compared to when he was with the Red Sox, the approach on Friday night was primarily fastball changeup as opposed to here where it was mainly sinker sweeper. And that registered in my brain as a thing. And maybe if he does have the improved velo and if he has the fastball changeup working, he can be a decent middle of the rotation arm. I'm not expecting him to do what he did against us all season, clearly, because he had 2 bad starts coming into that game. But I also don't think he's the worst pitcher ever. But at the same time, I think, and we'll probably also get into this a little, coming off an off day and then to sit Roman Anthony to keep the outfield rotation fluid against Dustin May. It's that's a guy who Roman, especially, he's kind of cooled off a little. Be nice to maybe get him going again, hit and lead off against Dustin May. And instead he gets 2 days on the bench.
Yeah, I don't. They're being really weird about this outfield conundrum where they're like trying to keep it as fair as possible because like Jaron's sat the most, I think, of the outfielders thus far, and they're not going to put Sadon at second base, which makes sense because that'd be awful. But they need to get Yoshida in the lineup. For me, the thing about the Red Sox approach in game one on Friday that really drove me crazy was I didn't think that their at bats were necessarily bad through the first 4 innings, and it was easy to say that because they had just scored 2 in the fourth, right, to take the lead. But the 5th inning was really inexcusable for me because, at that point, they've got May around like 58 pitches or so. Like it's not really like he's not up against it from a pitch count standpoint, but he's definitely getting there to the point where like one more taxing inning and he may not be in the game for much longer. Stadon gets weak out on the first pitch, Jaron weak out on the first pitch, and then Caleb Durbin, who had been atrocious up until game 2 of this series, really, had been an automatic out, and he was out on like the 3rd or 4th pitch. So you got him a 6-pitch inning, which bought him the 6th entirely. And, the Cardinals bullpen's terrible. You had an opportunity to get into it earlier, and you were unable to do that. And that was the frustrating thing for me. And it really drives me nuts when they get into like the middle innings, the middle third of the game, and then they're like, now we're going to be aggressive. It just doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me when they do that. It ended up burning them. Not as bad as the 8th inning burned them, but we can get into that later on. Just an all-around blah performance from the offense yet again. But you talked about it, or you mentioned it before we started recording, Jack, about the weird discourse about Connolly early, despite the fact that he doesn't give up runs. Yeah. Wasn't.
It's weird. And I understand his velocity's down. Like by his final inning of that game, he was throwing 91, and that's not who Connolly early should be. But at the end of the day, it's like he's still getting outs. I get why they pulled him because I think they were fearing another Jordan Walker moment, as there were plenty of Jordan Walker moments throughout this series, and he's been hot to start the season. He's finally looking like the guy who was a top 5 prospect in the sport. But they didn't have to pull him when they did. I think it was more just preventative with Walker coming up. And I think he's going to be fine. The command's going to get there, and his stuff is so good that, like, when I see people be like, oh, demote him, like, it's time for Tolle, it's time. And Tolle's obviously going to be great as well. And I know we're getting, Cutter ramped back up, and Sandoval could also be a thing. And there's options, which is good. It's good to have options. But, like, Connolly early is pitching really well while also not being remotely as good as he could be. So it's like, if this is the floor with Connolly early, the ceiling might be terrifying.
Yeah, I thought, it's the command really for me. And the velocity as he progresses into starts has been a story for him since he debuted. That was like a huge thing, especially entering camp. Like, it was like, oh, in the 3rd inning, he's still throwing 95 miles an hour or so. But then, like, when Connolly early is about to kind of not necessarily implode, but like, he's out of gas because there's no like gradual decline with his velocity. It's like, oh, he averaged 94 last inning. This inning, it's 91 and a half. Like, it's not like, oh, there's warning signs. It's like, okay, now get him out of the game. But yeah, traffic in every inning. It was the same thing against San Diego. But he didn't allow runs. I mean, he gave up 1 earned and 4 1/3. Like, that's hardly bad. The result doesn't always have to be a demotion for a player. We can just call a spade and say he didn't pitch well enough to win the game, but he wasn't bad. He wasn't bad. I'm optimistic about how he's going to look over the course of the season. I do fear that he's going, like, the option is coming. Like, he's going to get optioned whenever one of these veteran starters is ready, because that's what they're going to do. They're just going to send down Connolly early for no reason. Because they did it with Tanner Houck in 2021. Like, Tanner Houck got used like he got passed around like bad weed in 2021. Like, he was pitching well at the major league level, in the rotation, in the bullpen, then they'd send him down and whatever. They'd manipulate him because he had options. That's what they'll do with Connolly. But yeah, he doesn't have to get demoted. I still fear the day that he gets sent down. It's not like I can't wait till it happens. Brian, what were your thoughts on early start?
Well, yeah, I mean, the velocity is key for him, and I think that, a guy that his size, it's kind of like, all right, he needs to have velocity in the game. And I agree with exactly what you said. As soon as the velocity drops off, it's an issue, but it's early in the season. I know it's 2026, 86 pitches for a guy his age. The 2 walks, I think, kind of hurt him. If he didn't walk those 2 guys, he might have been able to go a little deeper in the game, and that might have been the difference. But, long story short, they only gave up 3 runs in the game. I mean, you're going to look at Kelly, he gave up 2 runs. But, this is the game where, Contreras doesn't go 3 for 4 and have a bunch of RBIs, and it's a loss. The problem is it's like the offense is still the issue until recently, I guess you could say, maybe today or the day before. But if you hold the other team to 3 runs, you should have a good chance of winning. And it just, Abreu and Contreras kind of need to carry this team because, they got a few other issues here right now where, for whatever reason, Anthony, is got a 295 on base percentage of the season or whatever, there's a few things they need to work out, but I don't think he did bad. So the people that want to demote him or think he's not doing his job, it's like, okay, well, do you remember what this team was like a couple of years ago? Do you remember how bad the pitching was? If he's like the worst pitcher they have right now, then I'm okay with that completely.
Yeah, people are being very extreme, and it makes sense that when they're losing, people think actions needed. Like it has to be a roster change or somebody's got to lose their job for things to change. It can't just simply be guys have to play better. Like I've seen takes about moving Roman out of the leadoff spot, not because they think he'd just be better in another spot or he should be like a 2-hitter or whatever. It's just like they should move him from the leadoff spot because he's bad at baseball. It's like he's not bad at baseball. He is having a rough, couple of series in a row, and it's still so early in the year where like 5 bad games in a row will tank your numbers. I mean, and one good game won't fix them magically. I mean, we saw today with Trevor Story, his WRC plus went from -11 to 21. Like it's still very bad. But he's have a few bad series in a row, and your numbers are going to be atrocious. I also saw one take that was crazy, and it was that having Zach Kelly on the roster over Peyton Tolley is one of the worst decisions of Craig Breslow's career. I just want to know how that makes any sense.
It doesn't.
What goes through your brain where that becomes the thing that you say out loud?
People just play MLB The Show, and you think like, oh, you put all your best players on the roster, but that's not how you have to run a real team sometimes. Like it's wasting Peyton Tolley as a long reliever in the bullpen in April would be so incredibly stupid when he should be, working on, his secondary pitches look a lot better this season, but still, get those innings, get those starts in and keep working on them and getting a better feel for everything because they're going to need him at some point this season. Peyton Tolley's going to be a factor on the 2026 Red Sox. It's a matter of when, not if, but I'm not in a rush to make the when. Like I want to keep guys healthy and productive in the bigs at the moment. And when they need to rely on him, he'll be there.
I think in a perfect world, he's not even I guess he'd be the first call up, like first starting pitching call up. Like I think the first one's going to be one of Cutter or Patrick Sandoval in a perfect world. Now, if somebody gets hurt now, it's going to be Tolley because unless it's Uberstein again, but I doubt that'll be the case. But it's going to be, if in 2 weeks, like the next guy that's getting promoted from AAA is going to be probably Cutter Crawford or Patrick Sandoval. And the one after that will probably be the other one of those two. Right. And then Peyton Tolley, again, barring injury or something, or like a setback with one of those guys. Because, both of them didn't pitch at all in 2025. But yeah, they'll get, Tolley will factor in at some point. He'll probably end up making somewhere in the neighborhood of like 5 starts for them like he did last year. And then if we're talking like September rolls around, like, yes, he'll be a September call-up. They'll stash him in the bullpen unless they need him in the rotation. They'll stash him in the bullpen. He'll factor in, and you're getting a dude who's going to sit 102 in October, hopefully, if you're playing there, which, now that they've won a couple of series in a row, now suddenly the World Series is back on. And I'm saying that, checking myself after saying it was so over last week. We are so back officially. But yeah, Red Sox lose game 1, 3-2. We should talk about that 8th inning though. where they had first and third, one out with Yoshida, and then God, who was hitting after him? Why can't I think of who was hitting after Yoshida? Was it Durbin? No, I don't remember who it was. Yoshida hit third, so Durbin got hit by a pitch to make it first and third. I believe Contreras, yes. Yoshida and Contreras come up 3-2 against Jojo Romero. I don't know why Massa hit in that spot. Like, I'm not mad that Yoshida did. It's just inconsistent with like how they've treated him as a player. Like, he didn't swing the bat at any of those pitches, and inexcusable for a guy who I feel like I'm patronizing him. Like, he knows better, but it's just a guy like Jojo Romero, a guy who's so ground ball heavy, and Yoshida, who's a ground ball, that's his game, is he hits the ball on the ground a ton. It just felt like a double play waiting to happen, where I wasn't even necessarily mad about the strikeout. I was more mad about the fact he didn't swing the bat once in that entire at bat. Just a throwaway at bat at that point, especially if Roman was available, which he was, because they were going to pinch hit him for Narvaez in the ninth inning, which I didn't understand. Like, why would you use him in the ninth when you had an opportunity to tie or maybe take the lead in the eighth with 2 outs to play with, and you're like, go get him, Massa. I mean, we weren't going to hit him for Contreras, but like, I don't know. That would have been the time to use Roman if you were going to use him at all, I think. Brian, what were your thoughts in that eighth inning, watching the Red Sox squander a golden opportunity to not just tie, but maybe put a hurting on the Cardinals?
Yeah, you're down by a run. Rafael gets the double. Duran lined out, but he hit the ball hard, but Rafael went to third. So it's like, okay, ground ball, you can tie the game up. And then Durbin gets hit by a pitch. It's like, here we go. All right, something's going to happen. And then, Yoshida, you want to give him the benefit of the doubt. I don't know why he didn't lift the bat off his shoulder. That's just kind of bizarre. I don't think they give a take sign, in Major League Baseball. It's not Little League. And then Contreras, who's their best player now, hitting wise, he flew out in the inning. But yeah, I mean, that was the inning there. They couldn't have done a lot of damage, and they didn't. It's kind of up till the last couple of games. It was like, here we go again. Like these are the frustrating games, and you lose by 1 run. It just drives you nuts.
Yeah, it's one of those games where you look back in a couple of months, or not a couple of months, but like at the end of the year, if they miss the playoffs by 2 games, you're like, that game could have so easily been like not even just a win, but like a 6-2 win or 6-3 win. And you squandered several opportunities to score runs. It's been kind of the same song and dance for them all year, or all year to this point, other than, the past couple of games, really just the past like 10 innings of baseball. Cause it really was the same story in game 2, except for the 9th inning. So, but yeah, would you have gone to Roman in that spot, Jack, or would you have stuck with Yoshida? Did you like the vote of confidence in him in that spot?
I honestly was fine with it being Massa, because no matter what, with Romero being a lefty, it's like, I don't have the exact splits on Massa versus a lefty in his last however many at bats against them versus Roman, but like, I'm kind of like, especially because Roman's not a guy who has a ton of pinch hitting experience. He's been vocal about that, as has Marcelo. Like, we didn't do that in Worcester, because why would that? They were playing every day.
Yeah.
And so I was honestly fine with Yoshida hitting there, and would have been okay using Anthony like in the 9th inning, especially like if you were getting a righty at that point, especially against like a worse hitter, because Yoshida has been one of your more productive bats this season compared to someone like a Narvaez. So like, I honestly don't hate Cora's thought process there. Like, I do get where he was going. It was just a weird at bat that Yoshida just didn't swing at a single pitch, though. And I understand Yoshida has walked a lot so far this year, and that's been, good for him. But in that situation, especially with a runner in scoring position, you gotta, as Brian said, even if it's a ball on the ground, as long as they don't turn a double play, you score at least a run, and you keep this thing going into a tie game. So it was just a very tough inning to watch, especially given, you kind of built a little momentum back up in the Milwaukee series, and then you're like, oh no, are we doing the original version of the 2026 Red Sox again?
He's got enough back control too. I mean, today in the game, Story hit a ball that was at least an inch off the plate, and drove a run in. Yoshida could have done that, especially with a guy on third, and then it would have been a tie game. I mean, it would have been a different ball game.
Yeah, and it's just been kind of the same story for this team over the course of the first, well, at that point, 4-9 they would have been the first 13 games of the season. A lot of missed opportunities, a lot of throwaway at bats and in prime run scoring situations, and then just the pitching staff not being good enough. Like, again, I don't want to, like, Connolly wasn't bad, and I want to make sure that part is known, but he wasn't good enough. I still, like, that needs to, I think that point needs to be hammered home as well. The Red Sox this year, counting these last two games, are 6-0 when their starter goes 6 innings and 0-9 when they don't. So when they go less than 6. And Connolly didn't have to go. I mean, at the end of the day, Zach Kelly inherited a clean, there was nobody on base. He made his own mess and he gave up a couple of runs, and that was the difference in the game. So it falls on Zach Kelly and the offense primarily. But Connolly early did not do them any favors by not being able to get through the 5th inning. And I think that's kind of like my final thought on game 1 specifically. That you just have to, when you have a chance to lose to a guy who has a 15.95 ERA, you just got to do it. Really have to.
You used to be on your team and you traded James Tibbs for.
Yeah. Yeah, you have to make him look good so that way Craig Breslow feels somewhat validated for the fact he traded for him. He's like, this was the guy I saw when I traded for him. But yeah. Red Sox lose game 1, 3-2. Brings us to game 2, a much more fun game. I'm actually really excited to talk about this game because I'm a big Ranger Suarez guy. I know Jack was too. You were big on signing Ranger Suarez this offseason, especially once there was cross-up gate with Framber Valdez.
Yeah.
Really jumped on the Ranger train. He was awesome after the first inning yesterday.
No, that's the guy who I wanted to go out and get. So it was nice to see that finally.
Yeah, what was it for you that was so different from him in his start last night versus how it had gone the first couple of times out for him?
It's all just command with Ranger because that's who he is. He's a command pitcher. He's never going to overpower you with the velocity. It's all about the command, the location, and the poise and the confidence that he's going to get you out. And he had all of that working. And, Ranger's a guy who goes through hot stretches over the course of a season. And yeah, you're going to bake in that, he's not a guy who's going to give you 200 innings. That's not going to happen with Suarez. He's going to miss time at some point this year. And that's why having the pitching depth is good. And hey, if he doesn't miss time, I'm good with that. But, you expect it when you look at, he consistently is a 150 inning guy and not a 180 plus inning guy. But, he was dealing and it just looked really good. He limited everything. He only had 7 swings and misses, but he still just got guys out. I know St. Louis isn't the most dominant lineup ever. And you look at, his next 3 starts are most likely Detroit, New York, Toronto. That's going to be a much more difficult stretch coming up, but hopefully he does just keep it going. And I think he can. So I'm happy to see him finally get something under his belt because once again, Red Sox fans love to be patient and calm about things. And there was a lot of, this was a terrible signing, they imagine how much better they'd be if they did XYZ thing with that money instead. It's like, how about we at least, we're not even at Marathon Monday yet. Like, can we not, go completely on how terrible every offseason acquisition is?
Yeah, if there's one thing Red Sox fans are going to give you, it is a very rational early season reaction to a player, especially somebody that gets paid a lot of money, like Ranger Suarez. And I think like the stretch that you just pointed out that he is going to be facing like the next few times out, those are that's what they signed him to do, is pitch in those kinds of games. Now, obviously, May or late April, early May is hardly October, but like he's not a guy who's afraid of the big moment. I think his ERA in October is like 1.45 or something. It's one of the best in
higher than what it is.
Yeah, he's been one of the best postseason pitchers of the modern era. So he is not afraid of facing good lineups. He just so happened to get Jordan in his first start. Like really, it was like one bad pitch. Like he wasn't good in his Sox debut, but if he locates a cutter to Jordan Alvarez that doesn't get hit to Jupiter instead, and it's like a foul ball, and he somehow gets him out. Like, we're talking 4 innings, 2 earned, as opposed to 4 innings, 5 earned in his first start. And in his second start, it really came unglued in the 4th inning, but it was pretty sharp for the first 3. And then this time out, he was fantastic, living on the edges. 6 strikeouts. I think 5 of them were looking. That's Ranger Suarez in a nutshell. Brian, what were your thoughts on Ranger in this start?
Going back to what Jack said, I think that, it's amazing what this guy can do with what he has, because he threw 2 less pitches than Connor Early, but he got through 6 innings instead of 4 1/3. He had just as many walks, and he's still in 2 less pitches, but pitched more. It shows you the difference between a thrower and a pitcher, a veteran, a guy who knows what he's doing, a guy who can hit the corners, throw some ground balls. But I mean, if he does that every game, they're golden. That's awesome. 6 innings is fantastic.
Yeah, he's an animal, and he is definitely somebody that I'm excited to watch pitch. I do think the back half of that contract is going to be very bad, but the first couple years of it should be pretty good. And like, we can't have we can't talk about them not spending big money on players and then do the whole, like, the back half of that contract's going to stink. Like, I very much.
Jordan, this year, would you rather have Bregman or Contreras and Suarez? Just this year.
If those are my only 2 options, I would take the one that the Red Sox got. I still think there's a world where they could have had all 3. Like that's still the world that I wish I lived in. Especially because the world I live in has Caleb Durbin on my team.
Is that the Pete Alonso? Is that the Pete Alonso, Kyle Schwarber, like, fantasy dream too? How delusional are we going here? I mean, is that?
Well, I never wanted Pete. I would have loved to bring Kyle Schwarber back.
Imagine the fallout if they signed Pete and he was doing this shit now.
Oh my God, I would be insufferable as the guy who didn't want him to begin with. Like, you think if I'm being an asshole about Caleb Durbin? Oh my God, if the Red Sox had paid Pete Alonso $30 million a year and he had a 560 OPS or whatever he has right now, I would be that Red Sox fan on Twitter talking about optioning Pete Alonso to Worcester. Like,
I do think it's interesting because I know, like, one of the guys who, like, came up in the, like, who could they get as an infielder discussion, who is a player who I always liked, especially because of the versatility and the on-base skills. But, he was another lefty, and I think ultimately that didn't make sense. But Brendan Donovan's off to a hell of a start for Seattle. He's playing really, really good baseball. And I liked that move for Seattle. And, like, I liked the player in a vacuum. It was just like, they couldn't have added another left-handed guy into this lineup. And, like, it would have gotten too silly at that point. But if
Brendan Donovan, ridiculous, adding another lefty or making a 3rd trade with the Cardinals this offseason.
No, Chaim and Craig could make 100 trades together. Like that, I have no.
It's the only GM he sees at Little League soccer practice or whatever sport that both of their kids play. So he doesn't know the 29 other GMs because he's the only guy he sees every weekend.
Craig's only good trades are with the Cardinals.
If they got Brendan Donovan, it would have been a steal.
It would have been. But, like, thinking back on, like, all of Craig Breslow's trades in his tenure, like, his best trades are with the Cardinals because you also have to lump in the Tyler O'Neill trade because I don't even remember who they traded for him. But I don't care because I watched half of Tyler O'Neill's home runs in a Red Sox uniform in person.
Yeah,
I will never say that thing about Tyler.
Obviously, the White Sox get thrown in there as well because thank you for Garrett Crochet. I really like
true. That's true. That is also true. I should not say only good trades are with the Cardinals. That one's a very big one that did not involve them. But yeah, no, I think I do think the world that the Red Sox live in now, as far as the players they got, if the options were Bregman or Ranger and Contreras, I definitely am happy with Ranger and Contreras, especially because Contreras is an animal. Like, he is so good. And I didn't realize, like, I knew he was good. Like, it's not like I'm amazed. I thought this guy was a lemon and he ended up coming in and being nasty. Like, he's a good baseball player. He's better than I thought he was. And, like, oh my God, do other teams hate him? And I love that so much. Like, I love a good villain. That's why I wanted Carlos Correa all those years, because I love having guys on my team that everybody else hates. I love it so much. Like, that's why, like, it's fuck A-Rod, 100%. But like, part of me respects him a bit because like I would have, if he were on the Red Sox, I would have been an asshole about A-Rod. Like I would have been. I mean, David Ortiz in a lot of respects is the same way. Like everyone hated facing him. He wasn't so much a villain, but like.
But how old were you guys in 0304? How old are you guys?
3, 4.
Okay, so you've only seen footage, right? But
yeah,
like, we had months where A-Rod was on the Red Sox. A-Rod was off the Red Sox. Kevin Millar is like, yeah, shit, I love him as my shortstop. And Nomar's like, oh yeah, you love him as your shortstop, fucker. All right, And it was like every single month there was something different. From the end of the season up until maybe spring training started, nobody knew what was going on. And then the bottom line was the players union wouldn't let him basically restructure his deal because it would hurt other contracts. He was like, I will forfeit the money. Because think about this, right? He was in Texas not paying income tax and then going to Massachusetts, 5% of every, whatever. He was forking over tons of money. And then the whole thing is crazy because then we see what kind of character guy Manny was later on. The whole thing is a mess. But it was so strange.
Yeah, John Lester would have been in that deal.
Well, that's the thing too, But and then like that's a whole nother wrinkle. Like John Lester is on the way to Fenway. Some guy rear ends him, and they do like a basic scan on him. Like, oh yeah, you have cancer. Like if you never got rear ended, he would have never got treated, and God knows what would have happened there too. There's a lot of stuff like you're like, we know what's going to happen, or these crazy things happen, and everything kind of worked out the Red Sox way there. Because I don't know if they win the World Series if they have A-Rod on the team. Offensively, he might have won another MVP, but he won the MVP, I think, the year before when they were statistically last place, like in the Rangers,
Yeah, I would love to peek behind that curtain, though. Like, I'm totally cool with how reality played out. The 4 in 14 years or 4 in 15 years that we got. But I would have loved to peek behind the curtain because it wasn't just A-Rod, because they were also going to get Maglio Ordonez. That was another part of the whole process. And I was a big Maglio Ordonez fan.
At the time, it was a great deal. This is awesome. Yeah, that was a fantastic deal at the time. Everything on paper. If you were a teenager and you had MLB The Show, you're like, yeah, this is like an all-star team. Let's do this,
Yeah, imagine a 1 through 4 or 1 through 5 of, because I guess at the time, who was hitting second for the Red Sox? It was Orlando Cabrera. It ended up being in the playoffs, right? But I think it opened up as like Bellhorn, right? So it was like, or Bill Miller. So it'd be Damon, then Bellhorn / Bill Miller, A-Rod, David Ortiz, Maglio Ordonez. That lineup would have set records. It would have set records. And that lineup without those two and Manny instead set records too. But that's beside the point. That team would have been ridiculous. I don't think they would have won 2 World Series though.
The 04 team, though, it was the pitching, really. I don't think they have one starter, I think, go on the DL or something, some really wild stat, which just never, ever happened. It was something very highly unusual.
Yeah, let me check that, because I think you're right. I think all 5 guys made 30-plus starts. I think you are 100% correct, but let me double check that just to be certain. 04. Give me a sec. Love this dead air that I'm providing. They were tied for 3rd in WAR, so there's that. Yeah, all 5 starters made 30-plus starts. Oh, sorry, Bronson Roy only made 29. I lied.
He had to get his hair done. It's all right.
Yeah, he made 30. All 5 starters made 32-plus appearances, though. Schilling made 32, Pedro 33, Arroyo 32, Lowe 33, and Wakefield 30. Yeah, that's ridiculous. They were the only 5 pitchers on the staff that pitched at least 100 innings. And they were the only 5 that made starts.
Well, that's the thing, yeah. And then we also talked about, remember last podcast we talked about the appearances. Folk, Timlin, and Embry all had over 70 appearances that year. So it was basically after the 6th inning. I think they were pretty much like Mariano Rivera. I think they lost 2 games or 3 games maybe after the 6th inning if they didn't have a lead. It's so highly unusual,
I lied. There was 8 guys who made starts.
Oh, can you name the other 2?
Well, I'm looking at the list. So
Byung Kim, are you cheating?
Byung Kim is one of the 3 that were not a part of that core 5.
And Abe
If you can
Alvarez?
name either, Abe Alvarez is one of them. If you can name the last guy, I'll give you $20.
I'm looking at the list, so I know the answer, but
Ah,
I know
damn,
Jack.
Jack,
There's no way
Jack,
Jack is even knows
Jack,
who
Yeah,
if you
I
can
have no
guess who this is, I'll give you a hint. He shares a name with somebody with a Hall of Famer that's in this rotation. And there is only one Hall of Famer in this rotation. So
I think he was also legally blind in one eye. He wore his hat like at an angle like this, and he wore glasses.
well, I've never heard of this guy in my life.
Really? Tony Canigliaro, you never heard of him?
Oh, we're not talking. I think it's a little bit more acceptable that I don't know who this guy is.
You don't know who Abe Alvarez is?
I know who Abe Alvarez is. I'm talking about this other dude.
That's the other guy who got the start.
No, there was eight guys who got the start. Who started?
So you get
It was
Schilling,
those five.
Pedro, Wakefield, Lowe, Arroyo, and then you've got Byung-Hyun
Byung-Hyun Kim, Abe Alvarez,
Estagio.
Pedro Estasio. I have no idea who that guy is. I'm about to find out what he looks like.
He's Dominican.
All right, I'm going to share my screen so we all know what he looks like.
He had a 5.9 B-WAR season with an ERA over 5.
That must have been when he was with Colorado.
Yeah, but still, that's insane.
He got a World Series ring. It's at Pawn Stars.
This is very much a like he did not pitch for the Red Sox. There's no way. There's no pictures of him. This is like when Wilt scored his 100 points. There's no video evidence that Pedro Estasio actually appeared in a game for the Red Sox.
He won 129 games.
That cannot be true. That
It
cannot
is
be true.
129 and 124.
Yeah.
Here's Pedro Estasio, by the way.
Hall
Over
pretty
here.
Good.
Might have to start the campaign.
Wow.
Pedro Estasio.
And he won 14 games with the Dodgers. Wow. All right.
Of course he did for the Dodgers.
He gave up 39 home runs in one season. That's hilarious. He hit 16 guys. 8 of them were Contreras.
He had a 15-year career.
Right.
He was in the bigs he had a 17-win season.
Right.
Yeah, that's his 6 B-WAR, 5 ERA year.
Yeah, he had a 4.2 F-WAR. He had 27 WAR for his career. Like, this guy was a dude. Like, he wasn't some jabron. He actually had a career.
31 complete games. Will anybody that's on the Red Sox roster do that the rest of their career? Absolutely not.
If it'd be anybody, it would probably have to be Bello, right? Because he's the dude who will just get like a 2 strikeout 9-inning performance.
Yeah, like 2 a year, and it's like, oh my god, you see he pitched 9 innings in a game. Oh my god, wow, holy shit, we should 31 complete game, different era, big time.
In 99, so this was again Pedro Estasio's 6 B-WAR season in 1999. He had 7 complete games that year. 0 shutouts because he is a Rocky after all. But 7 complete games. You know, where does he rank on the Rockies' all-time pitching WAR? He's got to be high up there, yeah? Like way up. Give me a sec. This is just phenomenal. Here we go. Oh no, I accidentally scrolled too far. Now I'm on the teams in like the 1880s and shit. The Pepper. Who the hell is that?
The Cleveland Spiders.
He's number 8 all
He
time.
is. Yeah,
Colorado WAR.
He's tied with Jason Jennings. 2 WAR behind Jorge De La Rosa and Jeff Francis.
It's kind of crazy Yabata is still number 1.
He might be number 1 forever. Although Kyle Freeland's having a decent year. He's only 2.7 behind him. So maybe. Who knows? But because he's getting close, this will finally be the year they trade him. He's got a 2.30 ERA this year, Kyle Freeland.
He's received Cy Young votes before.
Yeah, wasn't he like top 5 Rookie of the Year voting one year? He's second all-time in innings. He will pass Aaron Cook for the franchise lead in innings, barring injury this season.
Yeah. 100%.
He only trails him by 36 1/3. So a couple months, he'll be the all-time leader in innings in Rockies history. What a sad franchise this is, by the way. This feels like a great time to bring up the Brendan Bernardino prank. Now that we're talking about the Rockies.
Now, how's he doing? How many appearances? What's the ticker at?
Only 2 more since we last recorded, so he's at 8 now. I noticed. Yeah, I noticed today that like I think Danny Coulomb might be replacing Bernie as like the everyday, like is he at least getting up in the pen? I think today was his 7th appearance or 6th appearance of the year already.
Not to get off topic, but with the appearances. So my full-time job, I cover high school sports. They have re-entry rules. I don't know what they had when you were a kid, Jordan, in high school for baseball, but so softball specifically has re-entry. So you can win and close the game. So you can get a win and get a save if you're a softball pitcher now. It's wild.
That's sick.
Isn't it? So, but it counts as multiple appearances too. So you could have let's say 20 games, but 40 appearances. It's crazy.
Alex Cora has heard this information and he is on the phone with Rob Manfred as we speak. As we speak, he's on the phone with Rob Manfred.
Yeah. I was like, wait a minute, 2 appearances, a girl struck out 10 and then they gave up. They scored 12 runs. So then they put in their, other pitcher and then the game got tight and they brought her in for the save. So we're doing a scoreboard and I'm like, how you can do both? They go, oh yeah.
That's wild. I don't know what the rules were when I was in high school, but I do remember in middle school, there was one game in particular where our starter came back in relief.
Really?
At the end. Yeah, and I was very upset because he came in relief.
Did you have courtesy runners for the pitchers in high school?
Yeah, and the catcher.
Yeah. Oh, catcher too. Okay.
Yeah, and there were you could pinch hit for a guy. So the rule was you could pinch hit for anybody, and then that guy that got pinch hit for could re-enter, but it had to be in the same spot in the lineup. And then if he got lifted again, then he was done.
Did you guys have the shitty hitter on your team who was a designated fielder and the pitcher would hit? That's like the worst as a kid. You're like, we'll let you play, but you don't get to hit.
In high school, we just had POs. We didn't have. I don't think any of our pitchers actually hit in high school. Now that I think about it, at least my where I finished my high school career. Okay. I'm pretty sure our pitchers just didn't hit. I got like one at bat on senior day. I got pantsed by a curveball. But yeah, our pitchers did not hit. I can't remember a time where. Actually, I think there was one game where our guy who played third base typically started a game on the mound, so he hit that game. But that's like the only time I can remember our starting pitcher actually getting at bats. But yeah, game 2 was fun though. Back to game 2. Ranger Suarez was awesome. The lineup, 2 runs through the first 8 innings of the game or 7 innings of the game. But Willson Contreras with a 2-run double because he's awesome. I love Willson Contreras. I can't say enough good things about him. I really hope that him being a full-time first baseman means that he will finally play like 130 plus games, because I really do think that he could get some down ballot MVP votes this season. Especially the way he's defending at first base. Like I could totally see him being like a 130 to 140 WRC plus guy with 30 and 100 plus. And if he's got like 8 outs above average, he's going to find himself at like 5 WAR. He'll get some down ballot MVP votes. Now, nobody's coming close to like, if Judge gets it going, which he will, he's Aaron Judge. Like nobody's going to hit that level of player. Like Cal Raleigh literally had a historic season last year and couldn't win MVP.
Jordan could just hit so well it becomes impossible. That's like the one guy where it's like if Jordan just hits 340 with 50 home runs, like he could do that. Like that's not impossible for Jordan.
Do you think Contreras is going to put up better numbers than what Bregman could have done if he was healthy last year?
Yeah.
And that's fine, right? I mean, Durbin's not the replacement as much as we want to shit on the guy. Contreras is a replacement in the lineup for a Bregman.
Right. And Durbin's like essentially replacing the Casas, Romy, Nathaniel Lowe, Abraham Toro.
Right. Which is a better defender than probably all those guys, would you say?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, like, I mean, as much as the guy has 0 for and then he has a nice 2 RBI game or whatever, I think I'm okay with that,
I mean, Durbin's been okay the last like handful of games. I want to give the guy his flowers. I mean, today he went 0 for 4 with a walk.
Does he still have the highest defensive runs saved for third baseman? At one point he did. It was like way early. It was like, this is no way. I mean, obviously he's not the best third baseman in baseball defensively, but I think statistically he was for like a minute.
This is not updated for today. He is tied for the league lead with Michael Garcia of the Royals.
Defensively he's not hurting you. So you know, I mean, I can't hate the guy as much as everyone's ripping him, you know?
Yeah, I mean, his WRC plus for the year right now is 1. Like,
Could be worse.
It is above 0, which is nice. Like, that's great. Considering where it was, like, this was I wrote this for Beyond the Monster, shameless plug. That I thought fans were laying it on a little too thick with Caleb Durbin, like booing him before and at bat. Like, let's be serious a little bit. Like, he didn't ask to replace Alex Bregman positionally. He didn't ask to get traded to the Red Sox. He just was a Brewer and then randomly was jettisoned to Boston. He'd never been to Boston before the San Diego series. He said that today on his pregame interview with Jemai Webster, who then later on called him Caleb Burton on TV. That was hilarious. But he'd never been to Boston before this year, and booing him before and at bat is a bit ridiculous.
Would you been okay with Contreras and Bregman? Would that have been enough for the offseason?
For offense, yeah, I would have been totally cool with that. Now if we're going back into that like hypothetical there where it's Contreras and Bregman or Contreras and Suarez, yeah. I think I'd rather live in the world we live in now. As well, because I was a big Ranger guy. I really did not want to go 5 years on him, but if that had to be where you had to go to get him, then so be it.
Free agency, you always got to overpay. I think people have to know that going in. You're not going to get a hometown discount free agent. It just doesn't happen anymore.
Yeah, I think I can live with it being 5. I think it can be up to 6 with a mutual option, so it's 5 years. There's no way that he is still here.
I didn't realize how backloaded it is though until when we jumped on this. Like, he's only getting paid $7.6 million this year.
Yeah, his tax hits 26 every year of the deal, but it's like 7 this year, like 15 next, and then it's like 32 the last 4 years or last 3 years.
So that lockout's going to be another one in the future. So they can just Henry's already positioned that lockout, another lockout for 30. God, yeah, I don't know if I'm playing this year. Just look.
Yeah, I'm glad. I'm happy with the way things played out. I just am not. I've let my feelings be known about Caleb Durbin, but the way his season started, like the fact that he's not an automatic out anymore, is a good thing. Like, it's going to take a long time for his numbers to like correct themselves. It was so bad. Like, he didn't have a hit in his first 19 plate appearances or 20 plate appearances. He reached base one time in his first like 6 games. It's going to take a while to correct that. But since that 6-game stretch, he's been all right.
Yeah. And defensively as a whole, Jordan, how's the team been compared to, like, remember, like, they had a great outfield, but we looked at like defensive metrics. They were always like in the top with errors. How are they so far in the season? Are they a lot better, or are they average? Or
errors wise, they're still bad. Like, they're still among the worst in the league.
Is that Story or is
a lot of Trevor again? Yeah. A lot of Trevor again. I think Sadon's got a couple. There's a catcher's interference, which counts as an error. So there's that. Narvaez got hit with one last night, which that was one of the craziest plays I think I've ever seen, where the play gets ruled a hit by pitch. The Red Sox challenge and win it because it wasn't a hit by pitch. But then the Cardinals challenge and win it because it was actually catcher's interference. Like, that was one of the craziest sequences I've ever seen. But yeah, metrically, let's see where they're at as a team. For errors, they are 3rd worst. They are the 2nd worst in the American League, but the Rays have 17. So the Rays are way worse from an error standpoint. The Red Sox errors disparity, 3 belong to Trevor, 2 to Narvaez, 2 on Durbin. I can't recall a Marcelo Meyer error, but apparently he has 2. I don't remember either of them happening. From an advanced metric standpoint, give me one sec to back out of this. They are 11th in defensive runs saved and tied for 8th in outs above average. So again, it's like the same thing last year, where like the advanced metrics don't hate them. Like, they don't love them, but they don't hate them. But like errors, they make a lot of them. they know their way around bungling a routine play.
It's not costing them games per se so much right now. If you guys had to just lay out what the biggest problem with the team is now up until the last 2 days, it's been offense, right? I mean, that's the easiest call, right?
It's been the 17 outfielders.
Yeah, it's been the offense. It's tough because not only do they have 5 outfielders, they're also probably 5 of their 6 best hitters.
Right. That's the
So
thing.
it's like you have to sit one of them every single game unless you want to play Sadon in second. But you don't really want to play Sadon in second, one, because he's not a second baseman. 2, then that takes Durbin or Meyer out of the lineup. And I'm not going to cry if it's Caleb Durbin, but I will cry if Marcelo gets taken out of the lineup, because I actually think Marcelo has had a really good year so far.
Right.
And I think once it warms up, assuming he's still playing, which is a really daring assumption to make.
He plays more than 100 games this year. Jack, Jordan, what do you think?
I think
he
so.
can hit 100. 130 is where I start getting scared.
I feel pretty confident because, I mean, he's going to sit against most lefties, I think. I feel pretty confident he will play 110 games.
Does he play any games in September?
Yes.
I hope.
For the Red Sox, for the Boston Red Sox.
I think so.
I tend to think so, but I mean, the injury bug is scary with him. He's never gotten through a season healthy.
Yeah, and I know we talked about it last show, guys. Have you heard anything more on Anthony in the intercostal, the ribcage muscle? I mean, I've talked to a few people, and people say he's still not 100%. I don't know if you heard anything or.
I have not heard anything. I
haven't either.
Okay,
but it does look like he's. No, I don't want to say it's affecting his swing necessarily. It doesn't. I don't see anything noticeable in his swing that's different.
Defensively is where I notice it.
His throws are all out of whack, and I don't know. If he's
Johnny Damon was like, "I can throw harder than that," you know.
Yeah, that's maybe one of the worst insults known to man, right there. Johnny Damon saying he can outthrow you. Give me 1 sec to see what his bat speed is. His bat speed this year is 75.2. Last year was 75.1. So there's no difference there as far as like his bat speed. So
do they track throw velocity from the outfield? Is there a geek who tracks that? There must be some geek who has that.
Yeah, there is a stat for that. Give me 1 sec to pull that up. His arm strength. I guess it's not tracked yet. But his maximum throw velocity this year is already higher than it was last year. But last year he had a noodle anyway. He was 84.6 was his average throw velo last year, 52nd percentile. This year it's not tracked yet.
And then I guess Abreu probably has the highest on the team.
I'd be surprised if it was somebody else.
Yeah.
Like maybe it's Sadon, but I would be surprised if it was anybody else. It has the leaderboards. Okay,
That
so we do have
your ad was so fun.
what the one. Which one?
The one at second base.
Am I? What, the Bogarts one?
Yeah.
Okay, I was like, did I miss something in this series?
No. I'm just still reminiscing on.
Yeah, I gotcha. Yeah, no, it was very satisfying for me as like people need to get a grip because I joke like. Obviously, Xander Bogaerts, when he made his comments about the Vasquez trade, he was referring to the fact that they didn't get MLB players back that were like very good. And he was right. Like Reese McGuire somehow hit like 360. But like 2022, Tommy Pham and Reese McGuire as your like incoming MLB talent, I can see why Bogaerts thought they got nothing. Especially in a walk year, he's not like, oh, but this Wilyer Abreu guy is going to be sick next year when I'm in San Diego, like, you know. So when I cracked the joke about Bogaerts getting thrown out by the nothing that came back for Christian Vasquez, like I'm clearly being disingenuous, but it's a joke, man. Like I don't know, but yes, that was a great play. I've seen a few times this year where guys are like the word is out not to run on him unless you're Xander Bogaerts. Then you do what you want. Bogaerts did a walk-off grand slam the other day though.
He did. That was cool. And then there was the Orsillo call, and I was like, "Damn, I missed this."
Yeah, and
I wish we had that guy because is it an insane take that like letting Don Orsillo go is worse in a vacuum of itself than the Mookie trade? Because at the very least, right? At the very least, you could come to the conclusion we financially will not pay Mookie his fair market value, so we must trade him now. Versus when it comes to Orsillo, It's like it's not like they like couldn't afford Don Orsillo's fair market value.
How much you want to bet to O'Brien probably makes more than Orsillo
Right.
anyway? Because he's like, well, I'm O'Brien. I can go to ESPN. You guys. So like, yeah, I know he's probably making a little more, but yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right.
Yeah, I think it's an insane thing to say out loud, but I don't think it's an insane statement in and of itself. I miss Don a lot. I watch a lot of these other broadcasts, and like again, I think Obi's a fine broadcaster. Like I don't hate Dave O'Brien. Like I think he's a good broadcaster. I still think he's a better national than local guy. But I listen to a lot of these other broadcasters around the league, and I'm like, wow, they've got it so much better than we do, including but not limited to the San Diego broadcast, because they obviously have it better than we do because they have Don Orsillo. But like even I don't know what the network the Dodgers play on or broadcast on, but like they have Joe Davis, who obviously is in his own tier of broadcaster. But like even Steven Nelson, who's their number 2 guy when Joe Davis does national games, I think he's better than OB too. And maybe that's mean. I don't know, but I like Steven Nelson a lot.
Well, I mean, I'd go as far as to say our number 2 guy might be better than Dave O'Brien.
Monaco.
I'm also a big Mike Monaco guy, but like I would kind of prefer have Mike Monaco on a daily basis, transparently.
Yeah, I love Monaco as well. I do wonder if like every day of Mike Monaco, if I'd still have that opinion. Like whenever there's a guy that comes in and does like a handful of games.
It's a good point, Jordan.
We're back. I don't listen to a whole lot of games on the radio, but I do like every once in a while. I'm like, oh, I really like Will Fleming. But then if I have to listen to like 3 or 4 games on the radio in a row, I'm like, I'm glad that I only really get him in small doses. Like I like Will Fleming. There's just something about him that's like a little unsettling to me. I don't know what it is. And it's not like there's just something. It's just something about his voice. I don't know what it is. It's like
it's all personal preference. I mean,
yeah, I think I'd rather like let him read me a bedtime story than like call a baseball game. And that's not meant to sound like an insult. He just has a voice that for me is more relaxing. Like if he was calling like the Masters, I think he'd do a phenomenal job of doing the Masters. That's probably a better thing to say than like he puts me to sleep. He just has a more like soothing voice, whereas I like the more like energetic one is more my speed. I'm sorry, Will Fleming. That was not meant to be an asshole comment.
I know who isn't coming on the pod next time.
Obi won't. Will Fleming won't. Craig Breslow would be caught dead coming on this podcast.
I do have his phone number now.
You do.
So I could text him and ask.
During the wildest story I ever heard about Will, I worked with in 2015. I did the Paw Sox games. And if you ever, Will is like 6'8" or
yeah, he's tall dude.
So these hardos would be like, "Oh yeah, you know," and they talk shit about him, and then they would see him, and it was like, "Oh, all right," you know, it was just hilarious. And then I remember later on when they tried to put Will with a Remy, and Remy just gave him the coldest shoulder like ever. He'd ask him these open-ended questions, and Remy was like, "No, yes, okay," because he was just so bullshit over what happened. And Will was like, I get it. Like, I'm not Orsillo. They had a partnership. Everything worked great. He's like, but, just trying to, I did Pawtucket. Now I'm trying to do Nesson, and it just didn't work. It just didn't work.
Yeah. I do like Will, but like I said, in smaller doses for sure.
Have you heard his brother do games?
Yeah, he's the Giants broadcaster.
And what's your take on him?
I actually really like his brother. It's weird. They're not that different. But I also only get Dave Fleming in small doses as well. Like I get a lot more of him watching college basketball, which is a more action-packed sport in general. So it's not a fair comparison.
How do you like the other like ancillary guys like TC, Merloni? Like what's your take on those guys?
Like as far as
just in general, I mean, yeah. I think Merloni does a great job because we're about the same age. So like, I understand his point of view with like having kids and growing up in Boston, and I mean, I don't even have the talent he has in his pinky, but I mean, just as far as like, I mean, when he was a high school player in Framingham, he was like, you would think he was going to the Hall of Fame. He was legendary.
I love Lou, and I'm really glad that Nesson finally grew up and has Lou as like their primary color guy, because he's fantastic, and he wasn't always great at it.
Getting better every season.
It takes a while. If you look at Remy in like '88, and Tony Canliero, funny story to tie him in, just around exactly who, yeah, he was supposed to be Remy, but he had a stroke after the audition. He was going to have the Nesson job. Remy was the number 2 choice. And then
That's
Tony,
wild.
it's really, he was only in his like, maybe he was early 40s. He was a really young guy, but he had a stroke and then was in a coma for basically the rest of his life. And then Remy was like, okay. And then Remy was like the second choice, which is a crazy story.
That is crazy.
Yeah. And then Remy, when he first started, it was like, he's not stiff, but he coached like in the minors a couple of years, and he was like, I'll give it a try. But he basically worked with, there was a guy, Ned Martin, who used to do the Red Sox games years ago. And he kind of looked at him as like a mentor. And then he got better and better to the point where he was like a brand in Boston. So, yeah. And I think it's wild that they had Sean McDonough, because like, I think he's like one of the most underrated guys. I mean, he did the World Series when he was 28, which is just insane.
It's crazy. He'll just like pop up on EEI sometimes. And it's like, don't you have actual things to do, Sean?
He totally is like nonchalant too, because he'll just go off on a tangent or throw somebody under the bus. He just doesn't care. In the middle of a broadcast, he'll say the most random stuff.
He's great. I love Sean McDonough. It was nice. WEI went through some weird time before they finally had settled on it being Castig and Fleming, until Fleming now took over as the full-time guy. Like, remember when they brought in Mario and Pemba, the old Tigers broadcaster that lost his job because he got into a literal fight with his color guy in the booth? They choked each other out, literally during a broadcast. They went through a weird stretch where they were just putting everybody in the booth except for me and Hogdale, pretty much at that point. It was crazy. But another guy that I think's also getting a lot better year in and year out. It's not like he does color as well as Will Middlebrooks. I think he's fantastic at this now. I could totally. Lenny DiNardo's factored in some too, and Lenny and Will, when they're together, are actually really good as well. They just make fun of the fact that Lenny DiNardo's jacked, and I think I always find that so funny when being physically fit is an insult. It's used as a punchline.
Well, he looks like a Ken doll. I mean, people aren't supposed to look like that at that age. He's definitely on the Frank Thomas, Doug Flutie, whatever, GNC, whatever. I mean, you look at the guy, you're like, holy shit.
Yeah, he's ripped. He is absolutely jacked. And former Rule 5 pick, right?
Yes,
I think
maybe
04. He was a Rule 5 guy in 04. If I'm remembering correctly. So he also has a World Series ring.
Yes.
Which means that if Breslow gets fired, he might get the job as the next CBO of the Red Sox, because that's now a prerequisite in Boston to get a front office
That'd be
job.
cool. I'd like him as that role. I mean, Craig's kind of too much of a geek for me. I'd like a guy who's got some dad strength and
I want my CBO to be able to kick my shit in.
Oh my god, yeah. It was like when Gabe Kapler was hot for a minute when he was managing. It's like, that guy's awesome because he's tough. It's like, yeah, but can he manage?
Yeah, and then he got that job in the Marlins front office. He was posting thirst trap videos on TikTok. What the fuck is going on?
Well, I just remember when he played for the Red Sox, you're like, how does this human not hit a ball 500 feet when he connects? But he had the ugliest fucking swing ever.
He did. He was running and it was weird. He was already running when he swung the bat. He really. It really had a weird swing.
Combo with Jordan. Him and Euclid met the Maccabi team. It's like the Jewish Olympics for kids or whatever, basically at Brandeis in Waltham here. And it was the two weirdest swings in the world are going to be in Waltham today. We got Gabe Kapler and Euclid are going to talk to the kids. And I'm like, I don't know if they should be giving hitting advice. They can hit, but the way they hold the bat, it was wild.
Gabe Kapler, man, what a guy! I share a birthday with him. He and I share a birthday. He also shares a birthday with my father. He is a year younger than my dad. Same day.
Your dad and you have the same birthday?
Yep.
That is wild.
Yeah, my dad and I have the same birthday, and my mom and my nephew have the same birthday.
Is there like a family reunion in somewhere that you guys go up to Canada and congregate and like, something you're not telling us or?
We just have to make sure that when there are future children added to the family tree, that it is in line with another birthday. My niece was almost born on my sister's birthday. It's crazy, the timeline of these births for sure. Anyway,
Brian Bello pitched to that.
Brian Bello did pitch today, and he was also really good. Was kind of like the opposite of the way he's been the first two starts, where he was getting a ton of whiffs, but getting very deep into counts and not getting deep into the game. Today, he only had 2 strikeouts, still got a decent amount of whiffs. I think he had like 11 or 10 or 11 today. So like a decent amount of whiffs, but only the 2 strikeouts, but he got you almost through 7. So much better Brian Bello start. This whole turn through the rotation was like everything the Red Sox had hoped for when they had put this pitching staff together. And it's no wonder they went 4-1 in this stretch. Brian, what were your thoughts on Bello today?
You pitched great, but I mean, it's the kind of thing like, how excited are you going to get? Because next start, he's going to give up 5 or 6 runs, and then it's like, all right, this is Bello, When he pitches games like this, it's like, all right, this is exactly, why we gave him the contract, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I was impressed with him today for sure. And like, I do the one thing, well, actually, I'll save that thought. Jack, what are your thoughts on Bello today?
Yeah, I mean, with Bello, I'm fine with the games where he's not necessarily getting all the whiffs and all the strikeouts. If it means, he's getting relatively soft contact. Obviously, there was the home run to Jordan Walker, because Jordan Walker is now a top 5 hitter in baseball, I guess. Why not? But besides that, he limited damage. He pitched pretty well. He almost got them through 7. It's like if Bello, it was a day game, which I know last year he finally got that a little off his back. Like I remember last year, day game Bello was not a disaster, which was nice for like the first time in his career. And, if that wants to keep continuing, that would be nice. Hopefully he can kind of settle in, because Bello is a guy who is very streaky. He'll put together like 3 or 4 great starts and then like 3 or 4 clunkers all in a row. So if he's going to be good for the next month, that's beneficial to the team.
If he's their worst starter, they have it made, man. Like,
Cool.
I never got it's Red Sox fans are so weird, where it's like, we can't just, like, somebody has to be the worst pitcher on the staff, but that doesn't have to be an insult. Like Bello being the worst pitcher of the 5 starters, that is more a testament to how good the rotation is than how not good Brian Bello is.
Right.
Like, I saw people saying stuff like Bello will never be good. He was good last year. Like, what do you mean he'll never be good? This man is in the middle of like a 50 start stretch where his ERA is like 3.5. That's pretty good. He's not like he won't be a perennial all-star. He won't be a Cy Young vote getter. Like, he won't be that good. He won't be baby Pedro, but like, is he a good major league starter? Is he one of the best 5 starters in baseball? Absolutely.
Is he overpaid, Jordan, right now for the contract? Underpaid, or is he market rate?
Market rate.
Underpaid.
He's probably probably underpaid, actually.
The starting pitching price is underpaid.
Yeah. If we're talking like, if he were a free agent, he'd get paid more money to be the exact pitcher he is. Like, the version of himself that he is right now, he'd get paid more money. If we're talking like, it's a little weird because we're talking like Bello versus what would be like pre-ARB 3 or ARB 1 for him this year. He's probably overpaid compared to that. Like, is he that much better? Like, would I pay him $7 million above what his ARB 1 rate would be? Probably not. But like, in a vacuum, $8 million for your 5 starter, that's going to give you 6+ innings, probably 25 times this year. He's definitely underpaid as far as like his value is concerned. And I think he's always going to be more valuable to the Red Sox as a pitcher than he will ever be as a trade chip. And I don't like, people were talking about moving him this offseason, and I still was like, unless a team blows me away for him, I don't see any reason to trade Brian Bello.
And then I see the people being like, option him, and I'm like, no.
The conversation gets interesting once everybody's healthy, but like, Yeah, I still think Connolly is the first one to go down because he's the guy that would actually benefit from it.
But so Bello makes 8 million, and then Campbell makes 8 million too, about, right? Or no?
Something like that.
So even 16 million, I mean, that would probably be the rate if he was a free agent right now, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, he'd probably get closer to 20. I mean, last year,
so?
even it probably, I mean, you also have to factor in his age because I guess ultimately, if we're comparing it just like numbers wise, like Giolito's getting nothing. He's unemployed. Maybe we should ask him if he wants to come join the Pesky Report as a host. Like, not just like a part-time, like a fill-in or a guest. Like, he should just join us outright.
We need Giolito for the internet issues every once in a while. I mean, he's the guy.
Maybe I'll text Bradfo and see if he'd be willing to ask the Giolito to come on for us.
But not signing Costas to the extension when everybody was like, he's the next guy. I still think that's like one of the best moves they didn't make.
I mean, that's his fault.
Well, he's like, I'm going to bet on myself. And they're like, that's fine. But he saved him. I mean, there's people that probably wouldn't have given him maybe a Campbell deal or something, maybe not that crazy, but they tried to do something with him. But they did offer him a couple deals and he turned everyone down, right?
Yeah.
Him and Tanner Houck did the same thing. Both guys, that backfired on both of them big time.
Yeah, I remember how hot Tanner was, but like when he got hit in the face. I was at the Fenway when he got hit in the nose there, and the eye or whatever, and his face exploded. And then it was like, but for like a short moment, he was amazing.
I still think there's a good pitcher in Tanner Houck. Like, I will never sell all my stock on Tanner Houck. He totally strikes me as a guy who will, like, he may never put it together year to year, but like, he totally strikes me as a guy who, when he's on a different team, he will figure it. Like, please, for the love of God, do not trade him to Milwaukee. He will win Cy Young.
Tanner Houck and Kyle Harrison
and Quinn Priester.
Yeah.
The triple-headed monster.
And Rohan.
The Hydra's coming. That's right.
Yeah. You had Tanner Houck.
What's Tanner's? So he's out this year, and then next year is his last year, or he'd be a free agent anyway.
Next year's his last year, but I think he seems optimistic he will return this season.
Oh, really?
As a reliever. But yeah, he's optimistic. At least that was what was coming out of camp, was that he is preparing to come back down the stretch, which I think would be a good thing. Like, if he's in the bullpen in September, I mean, maybe it's not. Maybe that is more of a threat. Given the version of Tanner Houck we saw before he was shut down last year, but getting a guy who has all-star pedigree back in September is not a bad thing. We did at one point. We were excited at one point for Liam Hendricks. So
the interviews for Hendricks were amazing. The results on the field just weren't what they should have been.
I really wonder what was going on with him last year. Not like, because there was like some weird disconnect with him in like the front and the dugout, because like he kept talking about how he like wasn't as hurt as people were saying. And like, so that's basically you soft launching that you're going to file a grievance. Then he never did because he clearly was hurt.
Yeah, the velocity just was never there. I mean, I think he peaked out at maybe 94, and then the control, which was always pinpoint for him, was gone. So if you can't throw over 95 and you can't pinpoint, I mean, how many Kojis are there? There's only one I've ever heard of. Like, you got to be perfect if you can't throw hard.
And everything he was throwing in the zone was getting smacked. Like, he was getting absolutely blasted last year. It was not pretty.
No. And it's too bad because it seems like he's such a great clubhouse guy. People really like him. And it sucks when, when a guy is a dirtbag and he gets lit up, you're like, yeah, whatever. But when you have a guy like that who, has had some health issues and you're really pulling for the guy, it didn't work out. But unfortunately, that happens a lot more than it should.
Yeah, there are definitely certain guys where because when we're talking like Liam Hendricks, who's on a like short money deal, he sucks bad enough. Like, you can cut your losses, but you're always rooting for him. You're rooting for him to like land on his feet or figure it out, so you don't have to get to that point. Yeah. This year's a little different because they're paying him a lot more money. But like last year, if Aroldis Chapman was freaking terrible, nobody would have felt bad about being like, please DFA this guy.
Yeah.
But it just so happened that it was Liam Hendricks that was the guy who was getting destroyed last season. And yeah, hopefully I am optimistic though for Tanner, maybe not this year, but yeah, he seems optimistic that he'll return at some point this season. We'll see. But back to game 3, the offense was really good today as well. The at-bats were great. I mean, as far as I can tell, I mean, again, the Nesson cameras really, it was a real banner day for Nesson.
So it was so bad that what was it? Stats had the thing where like he had the Nesson logo and it was like the off the air signal with like Nesson overlaid on it or something.
Yeah, at one point there were several moments today. So for starters, like the first couple of pitches were normal. Then randomly the camera that's like that you see for like the generic like here the generic camera angle was gone. So we were just like getting a side shot of Roman Anthony's at bat. And then he like flies out to left field and I'm like, oh, maybe at least the camera will switch for that so we can like see the play happening. No, that was the only camera that worked. So Willson Contreras blasts a home run to dead center field. I had no idea. I had no beat on it whatsoever. So that was fun. Then they eventually went to the Cardinals cameras. So like the Cardinals broadcast with the Nesson booth overlaid. So that was fun for a little bit. And then in the 7th inning, complete silence. The sound was gone. And then randomly it comes back. And the first thing out of Dave O'Brien's mouth when my sound returns, speaking of pants, I'm not joking. That was the first thing out of his mouth. And it was about that dude in Tampa Bay whose ass came out when he was going for that foul ball. But
is it right up there with what who was the guy? I want to say it was the Angels broadcaster, and he's like, yeah, I can't wait till the first thing when the plane lands, I'm gonna hit up the liquor store, and head back to the hotel. It was like, wow. I mean, nothing racial, no swears, but it was just like, I know you're on the road for 162 games as a grind as a broadcaster, but like a little too much.
I mean, to be fair, it was the Angels broadcaster. I would probably want to hit up the liquor store too if I had to call some of these teams.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, Nesson was a mess today. But yeah, Willson Contreras, my sweet prince, homered again today. He had 4 hits.
Wow.
Trevor Story had 4 hits.
Is he just hot, or has he figured something out, or what's going on?
Well, today it seemed like he was finally deciding that maybe if he hit the ball to right field, he might actually get some hits. Because he had 4 hits and 3 of them went to right field today.
Yeah. And he was just like going with the pitches.
So he's been hanging out with Christian Campbell and be like, oh, is that how we do it?
Yeah, we only hit the ball to right field.
We hit the ball to right field. But Christian Campbell has been pretty good the last couple of games. So
yeah, he's been all right the last handful of
he does
games.
not suck right now, which is an improvement.
Yeah, I really wonder what's going to happen with him. What has to happen for him to come back?
If he could just play the infield, it'd be so much easier. But they're like, no, he's an outfielder. He's an outfielder. And then with the 5 outfielders they have, you know what I mean?
They paid Christian Campbell like they were adamant he was going to be a mainstay in the lineup. And then they optioned him.
Barry Bonds in the minors. What, a year and a half?
Then they optioned him, and then they basically made it impossible for him to ever play for the Red Sox again because they refused to trade an outfielder. And then they were like, you're never playing the infield again. You're going back out to the outfield. Which I'm like, that doesn't make any sense to me. They made it impossible for him to come back. Because, again, I don't know what has to happen for him to play for the Red Sox again. How many guys have to get hurt? Because I don't even think it's a matter of him just pulling the ball and like hitting the ball hard and not chasing. Like if he solves all those things, all those issues of like there being 900 outfielders and him not playing the infield still exists. I don't know if he's ever playing for the Red Sox again.
He can play average infield somehow. He can figure it out. He's a good enough athlete.
They won't even let him though, is the thing. Like
it might be an organizational thing. I mean,
yeah,
I hate to say it, but if Craig goes, stranger things have happened.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, I don't see the harm in letting him play second base in Worcester because you're not really caring about winning or losing games. It's the minor. Like, yeah, obviously you want to win, but like if they lose a game or two because he sucks defensively, that doesn't matter really. Let him work through it. And if he really can't work through it, that's fine. But I don't think they gave it enough time to make that decision.
Yeah, they really pulled the plug on him very fast. Like, I don't know, very, very strange.
When they pulled the plug on the first base thing, even faster.
Yeah.
And like I know now they have Contreras, like that is less of an option now than it was this time last year. But like at least if he could play, first, second, and some outfield, he could be a utility guy for you. There'd be a way to get his bat into the lineup in a bunch of different spots. If Contreras gets hurt, if you want to DH Contreras a day, there'd be like creativity. But it's like if he's only an outfielder. What I hate to tell you is we already have like 12.
Yeah, they've basically made it so Christian Campbell can never play for the Boston Red Sox again.
He's been Rusnied.
They've Rusnied him, but he's still on the 40 man, so that he's still counting against the tax. I think it really at this point he is like trade fodder, and they're just hoping that he figures it out with enough time to make it to seem like a permanent solution, and then he could get traded for like Ketel Marte or somebody of that status in July. But who knows? I miss him though. That April 2025 really had my life in a great spot. Everything after that, not so much. But anyway. So yeah, those two guys had 4 hits today. As a team, they scored 9 runs. That's a new season high. They scored 16. Max Schulga just made a 3 for the Celtics. I think that's his first basket maybe ever in his life. Some random stray caught Max Schulga during a Red Sox podcast.
It's a good thing he won't hear this when he joins the Auerbach Report.
Yeah, great point. As a host, probably as well. But yeah. Offense starting to trend in the right direction. They put Caleb Durbin in the 2-hole. That seems to be like at least a temporary, permanent solution because it's been 3 straight games of him in the 2-hole. That was where I wanted to put him when they traded for him. As much as I did not like trading for him, I immediately was like, hit him second. But it seems to be working so far.
How did he score 2 runs if he only walked once? Did he get hit by a pitch?
I want to say he reached on a fielder's choice. Unless I could be making that up. But yeah, he walked. Oh, maybe he did. No, he did get hit by a pitch. He got hit by a pitch in the first inning.
He's so small.
Yeah, he got hit by a pitch in the first inning and then scored on the Contreras homer, and then he walked later and then scored.
Quick question, guys. We all know who has the highest slugging on the team. Who's number 2 right now?
Connor Wong.
Ooh, all right. Someone's looking at the box score from today.
Well, I just know he's only played like 5 games this year, but he's
375, 412, 563. He's having a year, huh?
Yeah, good for Connor. I'm happy for him. I'm happy for Connor Wong. It's not even like I'm only half kidding when I say this. 2024 Connor Wong coming back would be one of the best things that could happen to this team.
Yeah.
Because then you could basically split him in Narvaez 50-50 or about. It'd be like 90 games, 72 games or something like that.
Brandon Narvaez into the ground last year, and then to find out that he was hurt on top of that with a bad knee, it was like, that was crazy. But if you can preserve him going forward, that's huge.
Totally.
Yeah. It's now I'm not like I'm in that point. Like when David Hamilton went on his tear in 2024, there was like a 6-week stretch where it was just funny. Like we're in that stretch right now for Connor Wong where it's like, oh, he's hitting. That's pretty funny. But if we get into like mid-May and he's still hitting, then it's like, oh, maybe he's just okay. Maybe he's not a bad player. And like he's a backup catcher. I think we kind of lost the plot when we were talking about how they absolutely needed to get somebody else. Like I will never forget Red Sox Twitter showing hole for Matt Theis. Just he's also a fine backup, but like he'd be doing basically what Connor Wong did last year. There's a reason why he was a minor league signing. Good for Connor, though. I can't even imagine who's third. It honestly might be like, it's probably Yoshida at like 390 or whatever it is. There's not a whole lot. Oh,
Contreras is 509. Abreu is the highest.
Yeah. Abreu, Contreras, Connor Wong, and then like Massa.
Rafael is 419.
Oh yeah, Sano's having actually a really weird year because he's hitting, but he's not defending metrically.
It was just that one play over his head, though. If you take that out, he's probably top 5, right? I mean, because it was so bad.
Yeah, that sun ball really killed him because it was like Well, also Statcast had a catch probability on that double that Fernando Tatis hit in the
It was like 78%.
Yeah, it was like somewhere in that like 75 to 85% probability range. But he was like shielded pretty far in, and but he also started in. The ball was hit like 1,000 miles an hour over his head. So I don't know. I think Cedon's been punished pretty severely early in the year by like a couple of mistakes.
Well, he doesn't know if he's playing second or center, so he's trying to play in double play depth. And I think he's playing so shallow. Yeah, he's so shallow. He's like, oh, I'm in center field. Hold on.
He's trying to like play both at the same time to see if they can somehow sneak another outfielder into the lineup. That might be the
it's
play.
Not a terrible plan.
Yeah, I would if they can get away with it. There's
As
only
long as
rules
he's
about
the
how many
right of
guys
the
are on the
bag.
dirt. Yeah.
Jordan, you ever did that? The center fielder comes in for the pickoff throw, and you tag the guy out at second. You must have done that.
Oh, that was definitely 100% one of our plays.
Yeah.
That never works, but we ran it a lot.
It never works like the double pickoff move to third and first, but you see it over and over and over again, and you just bang your head against the wall.
One of the blessings of me being such a baseball sicko from an early age was knowing about that fake to third, bluff to first play, because first and third was an automatic steal at the 11 and 12-year-old age. And
Exactly.
We were in my travel ball league, we were allowed to lead off the bag at 11 because we went to like 70-foot base paths instead of 60, and the mound went to 50 feet instead of 46. So I did that every time there was first and third. And I got a handful of pickoffs doing that. But yeah, whenever we did the center fielder comes charging in and I threw it to second base, that run scored. I threw that shit in the center field every time. There was never a time that play worked involving me. I'm sure it worked for other guys. It just never worked for me. But yeah, anything else from today's game? I mean, Jaren's starting to kind of look hitterish again. That's pretty cool. Like, he's hitting the ball hard. He finally elevated it a couple times today. The 3-run double was a big swing. Hit that 113 miles an hour. I think he's about to go on a tear. I don't know if it will necessarily be the Twin series, but I think especially when they come home, I think he's going to go nuclear at home.
AJ
Also-
Preller, you want him so bad.
I mean, he does. They were willing to trade Leo DeVries for him, according to Red Sox stats.
Yeah, if that's true, I can't believe Craig didn't. I'm like genuinely in shock that was on the table and they didn't do that.
Yeah, they were just so hell bent on getting like an MLB player for him. I guess that's like the only thing that, like, not even like a justification. Just like only thing I can think of where he'd be like, oh, top 5 prospect in the sport? No thanks. I want Fernando Tatis Jr.
You can turn that top 5 pick in the sport into the player you want, because you can go out and get a really good player.
If you had Leo DeVries, you could also have 100% traded Marcelo Meyer for Ketel Marte.
Yes.
And like not even thought twice about it.
Or just put DeVries in that trade.
Yeah, or
you still have Marcelo.
Yeah, exactly. And then you'd have. But if you did trade Marcelo, you wouldn't even have to worry about the future of the middle infield because you still have Franklin Arias and then Leo DeVries on top of it. And you'd have like one of the best middle infield duos in the sport. But alas, here we are. But I do think he's about to go on a tear. And he's starting to walk a bit. His strikeout rate's creeping down today. He struck out twice in 5 trips, so it actually crept up today. But it's like down to about where it was last season. I think he's actually looked pretty good in the outfield in a fairly small sample. He's only played now. He's played 7 games. It's funny because he was supposed to be the DH coming into the year. He's only DH 3 times. It was his 8th game and left. But 302 on base despite hitting just 196 so far. 11.3 walk rate would be the best of his career. His strikeout rate at 26.4% is getting close to where it was last year. We can somehow get in between where it was last year in 2024. I really do think this could be a pretty big year for Duran. I said that all last year and it just never happened. But if I keep saying it, eventually it'll be true. And he's here. So like, I get the complaining about the fact that he's here and how awkward the outfield situation is, but complaining about it and rooting for him to fail is not going to make it any easier to move him. It's not going to make it any easier for the Red Sox to win. They need him to hit. And I think he will hit eventually.
Oh, I completely agree.
That double made me feel something though. 113 sprayed to the left center field gap. Beautiful swing. Absolutely beautiful swing. Did not need a tennis racket, but it did look like a nice little backhand from Jarren Duran. So that joke has gone national for sure, because when I was in Cincinnati, I heard that so many times. Like, come on. He'll never live it down, which, I mean, hey, fair enough. Not saying he should.
They made like the alternate cut of the Marcelo ad with Jarren, and like it just like bleeps out whatever Jarren calls.
I need a fucking tennis racket to hit that ball.
There's no way Jarren wasn't the first one that they'd thought of. I know we've talked
They
about
didn't
this
realize
already.
they couldn't.
That would have been. Well, I mean, they also have Schilling doing it though, so like they clearly don't care about optics. Dude, Schilling and Duran would have been.
Call a fan a slur again.
Oh yeah, yeah, obviously, but like just the optics of it, Duran getting into a scuffle with a fan in a commercial would have been pretty funny. I honestly, for me, it might have negated the fact that Schilling also has an ad for them. I
want to see Jarren Duran do the Casey Affleck Duncan commercial. That would have been funny.
I'm actually shocked Jarren doesn't do any commercials, like at all. Like he's just not, for as like much as they talk him up as like not really the face of the team, because that's Roman now, but like Roman doesn't do a whole lot of TV stuff either. Like he does like MLB Network interviews and crap, but he doesn't have like any sponsors that are local, at least that I've seen.
What's the new? Is it some new Sam Adams beer where it's what Edelman?
Crochet,
Chara. So that's a weird combo because there's guys that don't play and guys that do play.
Yeah, but they're not all bald. Only two of them are bald. But yeah, imagine.
We're gonna get you on there, Jordan. Then, huh? If it's
we've got more bald guys.
And I got about 2 more years left. I'll be there. You know, maybe Jack will be there in about 20. You know, I mean, we'll see what happens. You know.
Yeah, Jack. What's the hair genetics looking like in your family?
I'm feeling confident because they say it's your mom's dad, and he never lost his. So my dad is bald, but my mom's dad never lost his hair. So if that holds true, we're chilling.
Well, I did not get that luck because my mom's dad was not bald, but my dad is bald, and I am very bald. I got bald younger than my dad got bald, and that makes me very sad. Very, very sad. I saw a Facebook memory because, like, for me, I thought that now I'm like trauma dumping. But anyway,
we're at that point of the episode.
We're at an hour and a half. No, but I saw a Facebook memory the other day because, like, when I lost my hair, I thought that it was like I had hair and then I got a haircut. It didn't come back. So that was my recollection of it. I saw a Facebook memory for me when I was 15 years old. Oh my God, were there signs? There were signs, man. There were some. Let me see if I can find it. It was.
I found a picture. You had great hair just now. I mean, you had some flow. I mean, you had a hat on, but it looked like you had some pretty good hair at one point.
Is this? Oh no. Well, yeah, I mean, that was the last time I really had hair. That was when Andrew Benintendi caught strays because of me. I wore my hair like him, and naturally, because of that, when I hit the camera guy, I saw a lot of Benintendi's got a garbage arm takes, which they were right, but it was not because of that. I did used to have nice hair, and then I grew it out way too long, and then the rest.
There's another picture history. Where you were at the in Cambridge at that old timers game. You had some good hair there, I think, for one of the games.
Yeah.
You were on the cover of something. You were on like the local paper here where I live, and there's like, oh, Jordan, whatever, and you had decent hair.
Yeah, I used to grow my hair out because I went through a phase where I was like big on the pitchers that had long hair. Because I mean, I wore 55 growing up because of Tim Lincecum. That was my pitcher. That's why my Twitter ad is Jordan Landry 55. But also like DeGrom and Syndergaard, like all those Mets pitchers that had like the long hair. Like I was like, I'm a pitcher. I need to have long hair. God, was that a bad decision I made? long hair did not look good on me. The hair that you in this picture, which I'm not going to share my screen. Pedro Estacio is the only extra that we need in this episode.
What was your anabolic steroid routine in this picture I just posted? Because you look pretty intimidating there. I mean, I would not want to get in the box against that guy.
My anabolic steroid routine. I think that was probably like extra toasted Cheez-Its. That was pretty much it.
How much did you shovel in your face at the little building in Emerson pregame?
A lot, man. Although I was still in high school when that picture was taken, so we were not quite there yet. But anyway, Red Sox win Game 3 9-2, and they win the series 2-1, improved to 6-9 on the year. They're only 2 games back of the division lead now, which is crazy considering they started the year 2-8. Are they back?
Seems like they're back.
Are they in the probationary period of being back, where they're 4-letter word? I think I can get to their 4-letter word.
Did you guys do 2 and 3 as well, or no? Jackie did 2 and 3. I did 2 and 3, right, for the series?
Well, that was for you guys predicted 2 out of 3 against Milwaukee. I predicted them getting swept. I reverse engineered a good series by saying they get swept. I don't remember what the series predictions were for this one. But yeah, it feels like a good time to now preview the upcoming series against the Minnesota Twins, who are 8-7, I think, or maybe they're 9-7 now. I don't remember what their record is. Let me double check that, because they were playing
9-7.
They're 9-7 now.
But Royce Lewis is hurt again.
In other words, fork found in the kitchen. Fork found in the kitchen. Yeah, they did beat the Blue Jays today.
A hell of a year for them. Obviously, it's super early, but he's hitting. Yeah,
he's a fun player, not in like a necessarily endearing way. He's just a guy that like kind of always is either ridiculously elite or terrible. Yeah, like he's on the Twins right now. He's 100% getting traded in July. Just a matter of, is he going to get traded to a team he's already played for, or is it going to be another new franchise? I wonder if there's like a prop. Where can I bet on this? My early prediction for next Josh Bell team might be the Milwaukee Brewers.
He's played on 7 teams in 11 years.
That is ridiculous. And he's like not a bad baseball player.
No. And it's crazier when 5 of those years were as a Pittsburgh Pirate.
Yeah. It's very similar to Hunter Renfroe. Like Renfroe spent the first handful of years with the Padres, and then it was Rays, Red Sox, Brewers, Angels, Reds, and Royals. Yeah. Like in like 5 years, he played for like 7 teams after that. Also, sorry, not to bring up the Celtics again. I just looked over. They're up by 13. Baylor Shireman and Ron Harper Jr. have combined for 55 points tonight.
Joe Mazzulla's a sicko.
I don't even know Josh Tonjes. I don't remember what his first name is. No, it's not Tonjes. It's Tonje.
He's French.
He's like 15 points off the bench. Like, this is ridiculous. They're up by 15. Anyway, Red Sox Twins.
The Magic are playing all their starters. That's so funny.
Baylor Shireman's hit like 8 threes today. It's like genuinely impressive. Every time I look over, I keep thinking that I'm watching like a replay of a Baylor Shireman highlight. It's just a different like tween step back 3 end to shot clock. I've seen it 4 times in this quarter. Anyway, 3-game series with the Twins. So there's a very good, very strong chance that despite starting the year 2-8, the Red Sox will return to Fenway at 500. Especially if you look at these 3 pitching matchups, which I will lay out now. Game 1, Garrett Crochet against Bailey Ober. Garrett Crochet is a 3.12 ERA, a little bit misleading. An inherited runner scored off Zach Kelly against the Brewers, but he was in command from Jump Street in that one. Bailey Ober is a 5.27 ERA. I'm looking at these 3 pitcher matchup. How are the Twins above 500?
I guess their bullpen's nasty, and Royce Lewis plus Josh Bell hitting has been enough. And Joe Ryan starts.
Oh, fair enough. Game 2, return home for Sonny Gray against Mick Abel. Sonny Gray is a 2.76 ERA. He's been awesome the last 2 times out. McAble 6.08 his ERA. I really wanted him last year. I'm very glad that did not happen.
I did too.
At least at this point. Maybe the jury is still out on that. Game 3, Connolly early on the mound, 2.63 ERA, but please send him to Worcester ASAP. He's clearly overmatched at the big league level. That ERA, atrocious. Peyton Tolley would have a negative ERA. Against Simeon Woods Richardson, 4.60 is his ERA. So the Red Sox have the pitching matchup advantage in all 3 of these games. They have the better roster. They are 4 games worse, though, to this point in the season. Jack, what's the Red Sox record when they return to Fenway on Friday?
I think they're 9-9. And maybe it's just cope. Maybe it's the fact that I do just generally believe in this team. But you duck the Joe Ryan game. Minnesota's already dealing with injuries. Buxton's been missing a little bit of time. Ian hasn't been playing well even when he has been in the lineup. Now Royce Lewis is out. It's like, I don't think this Minnesota team is all that talented, and you don't run into Ryan. I think, I'm not going to pick against them a Crochet start. And then I think Gray's going to pitch well. And I think Connolly's going to pitch well. I think they can pretty handily sweep this series. Like, would I be surprised if they lose one just on like a 1-run game in Red Sox fashion? No. But if they get blown out in a game this series, I'm going to feel bad about things. But I'm going to go with a sweep, and they're 9-9.
Brian, what do you think the record is after the series?
Well, I mean, I think a sweep would be great. I think, realistically, I'm more of a 2 or 3 guy, and maybe I'll get surprised, but I don't know. I mean, I think, are they back? Maybe, but I think they played a shitty team. So it's kind of like, I still need to see a little more. And I wish that it wasn't just Story and Contreras. I wish it was Story, Contreras, and Abreu. And, I just need to see a little more. I just hate when they rely on like 1 or 2 guys basically to carry the team offensively, So, well, we'll see what happens. I mean, if they do sweep, then I'm back on the their back train, and start printing the World Series tickets. I'm sure the ticket office will mail me a bill, like, oh, you got to pay for all the playoff games up front now, buddy, because I'm like fucking April. Yeah, but look at this team. Look at this team. I'm saying, you got money talks, So
they've won 5 straight. Please give me $5,000.
Yeah, and they'd be like, oh, you want to go see a Metallica concert? You got to go to both shows. It's like, but I don't want to. I just want to go to one. Like, that's not how this works.
I'm so impressionable that might work on me. If they give me a phone call at 9 and 9, they're like, hey, we won 5 straight. I'm like, that's a very good point. Here's my money. Here's my tax return.
So did your direct deposit for your tax returns, does it go straight to the Red Sox, or does it actually hit your bank account?
It actually goes directly to John Henry, not even to the Red Sox. I don't care what John Henry does with my money.
It has to be good.
Yeah. I will give him my tax return, and he will go and invest it in Liverpool. But it's fine. Thank you for 4 World Series, I guess. Anyway, I'm always weird about predicting them to sweep a series. I've even predicted them to get swept. I did predict them to get swept against Milwaukee, now that I think about it. So I did bet against a Crochet start. But it worked because they won 2 of 3. So I'm not going to predict them to get swept again. I'm going to reverse engineer a series win here, and I'm going to predict that they lose 2 of 3. They're going to win the game tomorrow with Crochet on the bump. We're going to be all hyped up. They'll be 7 and 9 at that point. 3 straight wins would be a new season high. Maybe they'll even win like 9-1. So it's like another nice offensive showing. And then Nick Abel's ERA is just far too high for them to hit him. It's way too high. That ERA starts with a 6. That's precisely how many shutout innings he is pitching. They are going to lose that game. It's going to be like 3-1. So Sonny Gray's not even going to be bad.
So is it a perfect game, just a shutout, or like how?
Just 6 shutty. Just 6 shutty. They'll probably in like the 4th inning, they'll probably get 2nd and 3rd one out, and he'll get 2 strikeouts. And I'll lose my mind. And then he'll be at like 70 pitches after 4, and then at like 78 after 5. So he'll be able to go the 6th as well. And then game 3, Connolly early will be so bad he'll give up 1 earned run over 4 innings. Everyone will want him sent to prison. Simeon Woods Richardson's going to have a legacy game, and they'll lose. And then the weekday show is going to be very sad. That's my prediction. Red Sox lose 2 of 3. So yeah, any final thoughts before we wrap this up? And we didn't talk about the Bernie prank. I mentioned it, but we didn't actually talk about it. Do we want to talk about Bernie getting punked by his team? They let him die on the field every single day, and then they have the audacity.
And that's how they repay him.
They have the audacity to then make him wear the wrong jersey during the anthem. So rude. Poor Bernie. We would never do that to you here, Bernie. We would just trade you to Colorado. I will never forgive. That might be Craig's biggest sin, is trading Brandon Bernardino outright. But to do it to Colorado is just like death row, to be honest. Yeah. Anything else? All right. That'll do it for this edition of the Pesky Report. Again, episode 558, presented by Beyond the Monster. If you are not following us on Twitter or Instagram, we are at the Pesky Report on both platforms. On Instagram, we just recently hit 500 followers. You can also watch me review the lobster poutine. That did not kill me, by the way. I'm still here. This is not AI. This is not a deep fake version of me. We even had the Wi-Fi cut out at one point, so you know this is authentic. But yeah, a lot of great content going on over on the Instagram. And yeah, give us subscribe to us on YouTube, follow us, leave us a review on both YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you get your podcasts. I really need to figure out how to actually do the whole like follow us on all these things thing. I need to do a better job of that. But anyway, for Jack and Brian, I'm Jordan. Until next time, peace out and go Sox.
Like, this is called the Pesky Report. Like,